So, Shawn, thank you so much for joining me. Hi, I'm Kathryn Harrison, and I'm the founder and CEO of MAGPIE. We're joined by Shawn Chaulk, who is a prolific hockey and Wayne Gretzky collector. Thank you so much for being here, Shawn.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. So I'm particularly excited about the conversation that we're going to have right now, because I've asked Shawn to share 3 items from his, or 3 sets of items from his prolific collection, which I asked earlier. And how many items do you think you have?
Thousands.
Like tens of thousands of items. Wow. So these are kind of the big 3 that Shawn has decided to share with us today. We're going to hear, we're obviously going to take a look at them, and he's going to tell us their stories. So Shawn, thank you so much for agreeing to share your collection with us. I love that just in talking to you, we can see far more than 3, which is fantastic. But I'm excited to hear what you've selected and why, and please tell us the stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, as you know, I've collected thousands of amazing items over the years, and I've owned everything from Wayne Gretzky's convertibles to his game-worn jerseys to milestone pieces of equipment and things like that. And I get asked a lot because I do a lot of interviews and I talk to a lot of people, and I've been asked an awful lot, what's your favorite thing? Or if the house was burning and you had to run out, what would you grab? And it's never what people think, because at the end of the day, you know, all of the collectibles and the things, they're great, but they're just stuff. You know, they're assets. They come and they go and whatnot. And it's an amazing chase getting them, and it's an amazing thing to say you own them. But at the end of the day, again, there are far more important things in life than your collections. So if I had to run out and take one thing with me, it's the photo album that I cherish.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's about my memories. So, yeah. You know, I can't replace what's in that photo album. In 2003, this is the photo album of when I played hockey alongside Gretzky. So in 2003, I went to Phoenix for a week, and I attended his fantasy hockey camp, which 60 people paid into, and you went to Phoenix for a week and you got to play hockey with about 10 or 12 NHLers, former NHL staffers and coaches. And you got to live the life of an NHLer for a week. It truly was fantasy, like the title said. You know, when I landed in Phoenix and got off the plane, there was a limo driver waiting for me with a Mr. Chalk sign who swept me away to my hotel, and I checked into the hotel at the resort that the camp was using. Check in my room, and there's, you know, a note there from Gretzky's people, and there's beer in the fridge, and it's like, welcome, you're about to embark on the best week of your life. And, you know, they weren't kidding. When it was all said and done, I truly knew what it was like to live the life of an NHLer for the week. I mean, wow. We had a team bus. We go to the rink, and there was trainers and massage therapists, and all of our equipment was laid out in the stalls for us. We were treated like royalty. And we went to a tryout, and we were all drafted onto 4 teams by NHL.
Say, did you make it?
I made it, but remember, I paid to make it. And we spent the week playing a round robin tournament for the Gretzky Cup, and it was thoroughly one of the best weeks of my life. You know, I'm so passionate about hockey, and to have done that, to skate alongside of the greats was such a remarkable experience. I mean, you know, the camp itself was amazing. You went down there, and they had all of your equipment laid out for you, new equipment that they supplied, sticks with your name on them, just like, you know, the players use and whatnot. And then, you know, we got to do things. I mean, how many people have this on the wall? There's Gretzky and Chalk, and, you know, if you're paying attention, I'm the Chalk guy. So this here was just an absolutely amazing time, and that's what's captured in that that photo album. Part of the camp was that Bruce Bennett was photographing the camp, and Bruce Bennett is the most famous sports photographer in the world.
Yeah. Wow. That's
And he was there,
incredible.
and when you were done, you got to extract all of the photos that had you in them and create your own album. And that's what that album is all about. And getting to spend time with people like Walter Gretzky, sit around the campfire and listen to him talk was an experience that you can't put a price on. And you can't buy or sell it, so to speak, as a tangible piece of memorabilia, but it's a memory that I'll always cherish. And that photo album helps me tell the story to my kids and people who might have an interest. So that's a key piece of all of this for sure.
Yeah, it seems like that was kind of the week when you got to sort of live all of the things that are in your collection to a certain extent. There must have been brawls, right? That's a necessary part of an NHL game, no?
Right.
And the gear and the tickets and all of that fun stuff. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. What a great, great story. What's next up in your collection?
Well, the other thing I'm going to show you today is a series of 4 hockey sticks. Now, I was fortunate enough to have amassed a collection of around 400 Wayne Gretzky game used sticks that went from his childhood and junior hockey right up to the last game he played in the NHL, and beyond that from his coaching days in Phoenix. So I have an amazing stick collection. But when I downsized my collection and sold off a lot of the sticks, I kept some, but the 4 that I'm going to show you don't have necessarily significant career value or status as much as they mean something to me in terms of leaving them for my children. So I think my favorite story is when my oldest boy was 5 or 6 years old, and it was Father's Day. And this particular year, he was old enough to put it all together, and he said to his mom that he wanted to go shopping for Dad for Father's Day.
Nice.
So she took him to the mall, and there's a sports store there, of course. And he went in and he picked out his gift for me. And Father's Day comes around, and he hops up on the bed, and I open my gifts, and he's holding dear this framed, well, what appears to be a framed piece in his hand, all wrapped up. And it was the last gift, and he gave me this. I picked this out myself, Dad. So I opened it, and it was an amazing photograph, an 8x10 photograph framed up from the 1984 Canada Cup tournament. And, I looked at it in awe. He read me to a T. He obviously was knowing what I was all about.
Smart kid.
And yeah, and I said, I said, Spencer, I said, this is a very special gift. I said, downstairs in Dad's office, there's a wall full of hockey sticks. I said, 2 of the sticks on that wall, Wayne used in the 1984 Canada Cup tournament. And I said, wouldn't it be crazy if one of the 2 sticks downstairs is the one in this photograph?
Oh, wow. I can
So
see
the photograph was from the cup winning game. It was
Okay.
from the championship winning game. So off we go downstairs, and lo and behold, the stick in the photograph was the stick on the wall. So this stick is very near and dear to my heart. It's Spencer's stick, and he will get it someday whenever he's ready to hang it on his own wall. It's his stick. So that means a lot to me, that and the photograph, of course, that he gave me that day.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and game-winning Canada Cup stick, that's amazing. And what an incredible connection. I love it.
so Spencer, I have 3 kids, but Spencer gets 2 of the 4 sticks just from circumstance. In 2005, the Edmonton Oilers played in the Heritage Classic hockey game, the first outdoor hockey game of its kind. And it was in Edmonton. It was 25 degrees below zero. It was cold. It was in an outdoor facility. And my beer froze before I could get it to the back of my throat. But we had a great time. But what's significant about that night, not only was it Tanya and my first event like that together, it was the night that we announced to my family and close friends that we were pregnant with our first child, which is my oldest boy, obviously, Spencer.
Right.
And that event was remarkable. We made the announcement. It was a big deal. And the NHL went on to auction off the guys' memorabilia like they always do.
Sure.
So I bought the jersey that Wayne wore in the game, and the stick, one of the 6 sticks he used in the game. And these are also going to be Spencer's items one day. So these items are very special to me for obvious reasons, and Spencer will have those hanging on his wall someday. And that leads me to my daughter Maria, who's 14. Every year, the NHL does Hockey Fights Cancer campaign, where the teams wear pink or purple jerseys for their warm-ups, and they use pink tape on their sticks sometimes, or pink sticks, and proceeds from the games and things go to aid in the fight of cancer. So Wayne was coaching in Phoenix, and coaches use sticks as well and have sticks on the ice.
Right.
And he was using this stick during one of those campaigns. All of these sticks are autographed, by the way, by Wayne. But this is a Hockey Fights Cancer stick done in pink. He only had a couple of them made. This stick I had to have, because at the time he was using it, both of my parents were going through cancer. So getting the stick, meant something to me from that perspective. It was pink, and I had one little girl, so I thought a pink stick that's benefited something that's near and dear to my heart was only fitting. Lo and behold, it went to auction, and we had a power failure during the auction.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
I didn't win the stick. So I spent about a year then trying to find out who won it. I found out who won it. I explained my story and my situation, and they graciously sold me the stick.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
that stick is my daughter Maria's, and that will adorn her walls at some point, I hope, down the road.
Yeah.
And the last stick that I have on my wall that means the world to me is this blue stick used by Wayne Gretzky in the photo that I showed you a few minutes ago when I was sitting on the bench with Wayne.
Yeah.
So that event was in Phoenix. My youngest son, who's 10 in June, his name is Phoenix. He was 10 weeks premature.
Oh, no.
3-pounder, some immediate struggles at birth, and worked themselves out through the miracles of medicine and good doctors.
Yep.
And he got to live to dream, and I was living the dream. So it was only fitting that he got to keep that stick, so that's his stick. So those 4 sticks are 4 things in my collection, amongst other things that are left for the kids, that are untouchable, that truly have no price. They'll never be for sale unless the kids elect to sell them. But
Right.
those are my kids' items. Those are the favorite things in my collection, and they don't have a price tag.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that does such a nice job of showing both these incredible moments in history and sports, some of the best players in the world, and how it ties to our own individual lives and the things that we're going through, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but that they really provide that sense of connection, and that, as you say, those specific items, particularly for you, are priceless given the stories that they capture. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing those with us, Shawn. That's great. I really appreciate it. And last but not least, you have one of your sets of cards is logged in MAGPIE. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about that set, history, the set itself, how you came about it, because I think it'll be great for us to be able to keep that story tied to the cards themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the sets, the vintage sets I've put together, is the 1951 Parkhurst hockey set. And it's probably the most iconic hockey card set there is in the world. Amongst vintage collectors, it's highly collected, very hard to find in high grade. I mean, it's not yesterday. It's a very old set. So having these cards survive in high grades is quite crazy. But that set is really iconic and important because it's the first post-war hockey card set. So, cards were produced every year leading up to the war. And then because of the war effort and resources and money and things like that, everything was focused on the war, and the production of hockey cards stopped. And the first card set produced by Parkhurst after the war was in 1951. And it was a 105 card set. And the cards are a little smaller, well, a lot smaller than your traditional collectibles card. But because a card set hadn't been produced in years, all 105 cards in this set became rookie cards.
Of course.
Because even if the guys had been playing hockey for 6 years throughout the war, because hockey didn't stop during the war, even though players went off to serve and came back, God willing, came back to play again, the league didn't stop, but the production of cards did. So when this set finally came out, guys finally had their rookie card, and some of them had been in the league for years already.
Yeah.
So as collectors, especially people who collect Hockey Hall of Famers, for example, or rookie cards, well, that set, is full of Hall of Famers and full of rookie cards. So it became very collectible, for those reasons. And the thing with the set is it contains some of the rookie cards of some of the most important names in hockey. Maurice Richard's rookie card is in there, Gordie Howe, Terry Sawchuk. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the importance of this card, or this card set, I guess, just can't be emphasized enough. It's such an important part of the history of collecting and the history of the game. And it's why I chose to go after that one when I did.
So, and what did it take to put it together? I imagine that there wasn't just an eBay listing, magical 1951 Parkhurst set. How long did it take you? Where did you find it? Are there any good stories about getting that collection, reconstructed?
Well, like I think I alluded to in a previous chat we had, when I go after something, I go hard. So I set my bar really high, and my mandate was to put the set together in a PSA 8 or better. Okay. So PSA is the card grading system that, that cards are measured against. It's a company out of California that grades cards for people and whatnot. So there aren't many PSA 8 graded cards of all of these players, probably on average 17 to 40 in existence.
Wow.
So being able to collect all 105 in an 8 or better grade was a pretty huge
undertaking
goal.
Yeah.
But I did it one card at a time. I mean, I followed the auctions. Whenever one would come up, I would make sure I was a bidder, and I got in there and did my best to win that card. I did some private deals along the way. There was one collector whose set is ranked #1 in the world, was very instrumental in helping me achieve my goals by selling me a lot of his spare cards. When your spare cards are PSA 8 or higher in that set, you've got some pretty serious cards.
Yes.
So, once I put it together in an 8, well, then my mission became moving up the grading system and trying to get to having the #1 set in the world. As much as I think I want to get there, I don't even know, unless the guy who's #1 decides to take apart his set.
Right.
It's virtually impossible just by way of the population report and the scoring of these cards. I'm not sure I can catch them. I can be the strongest #2 set in the world by a stretch, but to catch them is almost impossible just by way of the scoring system and the population.
Right.
So I will continue. I've upgraded Tons of those cards. Now the majority of the cards in my sets are 9 or 8.5 grade. There
Very
are a
nice.
few 8s left. Some of the 9s that I own, there's only 2 in the world, mine and his.
Wow.
I think there's only 2 10s in the world of any of those cards. So
Wow.
9 is as high as it really gets
Right.
for those cards. And there's only literally single digit populations, of any of them. So that's what I'm working on. I'll continue to improve that set as long as I can. It's my favorite set. It's the set that I want to achieve the most with, and we'll see how that goes. But I mean, I don't get many upgrades come by these days.
No, do you think there's any likelihood that cards will come out of the attics or out of the woodwork in the next couple of years?
I don't. I think the cards community has come so far in the last few years that I think what's out there to be found has been found.
Okay.
But even if someone finds a box of cards or a tin can in an attic, the odds of PSA grading them high are slim to none. The grading standards have come a long ways and changed a lot over the years. That's a whole different topic. I'm not in agreement with where that's gone. But irregardless, to find a card and have it grade a 9 now, I think is virtually impossible. Standards have changed a lot, and I think the population report is pretty safe on those high grades.
Fascinating. Well, we're coming up on Thanksgiving in the US, so sounds like something people should go into their attics and into their basements and take a look at.
And
Well,
then they
Shawn,
should email me.
exactly. Add them on MAGPIE, and
That's right.
then we'll connect you to Shawn. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for sharing these really personal elements of your collection. I think these are incredible stories, and we're so grateful that you have been able to share them with us. So,
Thank you. It's fun. I love chatting about it.
yeah, I can't wait. We'll have to do a few more items the next time we do this, and we can talk about grading, and we can talk about day trading, and we can talk about all sorts of other things. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Shawn.
Thank you.